Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Live from our Lagos studios, I am Abosedi Omowi. We apologize for starting the bulletin behind schedule. Let's take a look at our top stories tonight. Many thanks for joining us tonight. Now, the news in full. President Muhammadu Buhari says government's decision not to reveal the names of corrupt citizens is to prevent legal technicalities that could hinder subsequent trials. Speaking at a lunch with State House correspondents at Aso Rock Villa, the president notes that the war against corruption is taking a good course. Abiola Oluwole reports that the event is part of activities marking Democracy Day.
As Nigerians continue to react to the inability of government to fulfill the promise of mentioning names of corrupt citizens, the president says the act is deliberate to avert delay in the prosecution of those accused of corruption charges. He says government is engaging foreign nations and other relevant agencies to ensure steady recovery of stolen funds.
We can't go out and talk too much. We have to allow the judiciary to give them the facts. The names, the country, the bank account, for them to do successful prosecution. If we talk too much, the technicality will carry, and we will realize later what we wanted to realize.
President Buhari commended ex-President Jonathan for conceding defeat in the heat of the 2015 electoral process, maintaining that the former president was prevented to do proper handover to his administration.
As soon as Jonathan called the government and told them this is what he decided, so they said no. How can we hand over to Buhari before he was so ill? He was not the president. And that was the end of it. Very good intention.
Chairman of the State House Press Corps has also been assuring the president of the Corps' total support.
Because the media is a very important partner in governance. A lot of people don't understand that. But if you continue to engage us, you find out that things will move on.
Members of the Corps also had the privilege of a presidential handshake after the lunch. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole reporting for CoreTV News.
And as Nigerians assess President Muhammadu Buhari's 1 year in office, legal practitioners are not left out, as they have been expressing mixed reactions on the performance of the judiciary under the president. Judiciary correspondent Basil Okafor in the special report looks at the judiciary since the assumption of the new administration through the eyes of some legal practitioners. The report.
The judiciary is said to be the last hope of the common man, and many analysts believe it is also the engine that oils the wheel of the democracy. The sector under President Buhari's 1 year in office has witnessed a series of criminal trials involving high-profile individuals in the country. Some of these individuals currently being prosecuted by the federal government on alleged money laundering include the former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, spokesman of People's Democratic Party, Ulisa Metu, among others. The trial of these alleged corrupt Nigerians, according to some lawyers, is receiving speedy hearing, and they say this is a milestone in the judiciary.
In this 1 year for the Buhari's administration, the judiciary has done incredibly well
in terms of quick dispensation of justice, cases of corruption cases that are being brought to court, in very many cases, I will not name them. You agree with me that my lords have shown due diligence in support of the crusade for the anti-corruption crusade. That means cases, days are gone where you have long adjournment of cases. Days are gone where you have interlocutory appeals in criminal matters, likewise. So the judiciary is part of the system. They have supported it and they will continue to support it, support the administration to the end of eradicating corruption in our system.
For this legal practitioner, there is no difference between the achievements recorded in the judiciary sector under Buhari-led administration in the year under review and the previous administrations.
Except the issue of maybe speedy hearing of matters bordering on corruption against some persons who worked with the former administration. That's all. I accept that. I don't see any much difference.
As President Buhari continues his anti-corruption campaign, many have argued that he must adhere to the rule of law in order not to make a mockery of the nation's judiciary.
If the judiciary interprets law, it's expected that judiciary, the executive and the legislature and the general public should also accord respect to it. In the system here we have here, it's only executive, the police, that enforce the court order. In America, they have court marshals attached to court to enforce court order.
In spite of the views expressed by these legal practitioners, government officials are insisting that President Buhari has recorded successes in some of the key sectors of the economy.
A lot has been achieved in 1 year, and sometimes people should go back, remember where Nigeria was 12 months ago. It was not a happy place.
Nigerians no doubt want the nation's judiciary to be truly independent of the executive arm of the government for it to remain relevant to its constitutional responsibilities. Basil Okafo, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The downward turn of Nigeria's economy was the focus of the new administration as it began its 4-year journey governing the country. Suggestions had been on the high that the past administration had seriously battered the economy, leaving Nigeria's purse virtually empty. After 1 year in power, the economy seems to be sinking and life getting tougher for the citizenry. But patience is a virtue. Many still believe that with a little more time, the economy is sure to bounce back. Kikelomo Okere in the special report examines the Nigerian economy 1 year on into the Buhari administration as she samples opinion from some business and financial experts.
President Buhari's emergence as president may not have come as a surprise to many Nigerians as the change mantra slogan filled the atmosphere. During his 2015 presidential campaign rally, lots of promises were made to Nigerians and the electorate trooped out en masse to pick the candidate of their choice with hope for better life as well as standard of living. To most Nigerians, there was hope for better electricity supply, good roads, health, education, cheaper fuel, and employment opportunity and unemployment benefit for the vulnerable group in the society. But these dreams may not have been dashed as Nigeria and other parts of the world came face to face with reality of dwindling global oil prices, which in no small measures is affecting the national economy.
The issues that affect Nigerians most, and those are the basic issues of food, shelter, and transportation. Looking at food, you should be looking at ways to improve food supply to the people and make food cheaper.
However, it is believed that best is yet to come from the present administration, especially when the right policies are implemented at the right time.
As you are aware, the world economy is currently going through difficult times. The global crisis has bequeathed to several countries a legacy of high unemployment, unsustainable public finances, and lower potential output.
The present economic pressures we are facing is not unique to Nigeria alone. If you watch globally, there's a downturn which is necessitated by the dipping of the price of crude. So it's not peculiar only to Nigeria. The only difference is that just that we're not prepared.
The Nigerian economy contracted by 0.36% with the inflation rate of 13.7% in the first quarter of 2016. It is a sign that Nigerian economy may go into full recession if quick appropriate measures are not put in place to check the trend.
The policy options are very limited. To avoid complicating the conditions, the committee decided on the least risky option to hold. The foreign exchange market framework now ready, the NPC voted unanimously to adopt a flexible exchange rate policy to restore the automatic adjustment properties of the exchange rate.
What is actually wrong with us is our structural reforms are not, we don't have good structural reforms. Structural reforms in terms of fiscal policy. Nigeria has infrastructure deficit. We have a housing problem. We have a housing deficit of about 17 to 18 million people. We also we don't have good roads. We don't have what it takes to support business.
The TSA is a very big achievement by the government, though not started by this government. It started by the Jonathan administration. But the truth is that what this government has achieved with the TSA in 1 year, I was reading yesterday that the TSA is now 3 trillion naira. What this government has achieved in 1 year is tremendous.
Challenges of Nigerian economy suffering from shocks related to low crude oil price is a shared responsibility requiring those in the authority and the governed to demand uprightness in the conduct of the national affairs. Kikelomo Ukeri, CoreTV News, Abuja.
As celebrations marking Democracy Day continues in Abuja, some youths are calling on Nigerians to give the Buhari administration a chance. Many of them agree that so much seems to be slow, but call on Nigerians to give the government more time. Jamila Fegwa now reports.
The Millennium Park in Abuja is a place for fun, and fun these children came to have as they continue to celebrate Democracy Day. It isn't just play. Some of the youth also took out time to reflect on the Buhari administration's 1 year in office. They believe that the administration should be given more time to fix some of the problems bedeviling the country.
He's really trying his own best, but we still have to support him in prayer because we cannot be satisfied with everything that our leader does. And we just have to thank him for everything, because this economic, some people are complaining why he's still working for some people. But our president just have to be trying more, to put on more effort.
I can't praise him, I can't condemn him. Like he said, that change is a gradual process. So we are still hoping. 1 year is not too much and is not small for him to have done something. There are a lot of unemployment going on in this country. We need jobs, especially the youths.
Well, good direction. But the only thing is, I want the administration to know that the masses are suffering. If we are patient in Nigeria, I see something good coming out of this administration. But because we Nigerians are impatient, so that's why we think nothing is working. But good ideas, good ideology, I'm looking for better Nigeria.
It is, however, not all pleasantries for those who believe that the administration has not in any way fulfilled its campaign promises to the people of Nigeria, marking as bad issues of roads, electricity, and education.
Well, 1 year of President Buhari, to me as an individual, is disturbing, is a failure, if I should say, from my personal opinion. As a young Nigerian who, during the 2015 election period,
They raised our expectations as students, they raised our expectations as youth, and they raised our expectations as citizens of this country. I can remember vividly that one of the things we normally look at in terms of the billboards are...
President Muhammadu Buhari came into office on the 29th of May 2015. So far, repair works are still going on, particularly on the economy. But recent policy decisions seem to be putting more sufferings at the doorstep of the masses. What is expected now is that as it goes down the path to second year, Nigerians will begin to see the gains of democracy as promised them. Jamila Fegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And in Taraba State, as part of activities marking his 1 year in office, the state governor, Darius Ishaku, has been inspecting and commissioning some of his achieved projects in the state. A water project, among several others, is expected to supply the state capital and its environs with about 26 million liters of water daily, which will gulp about 5.8 million naira. Taraba State correspondent Odua Godwin completes the story.
In fulfillment of his campaign promises to people of Taraba State, he has been commissioning some of the projects he has been putting up for the development of the state. The priority and desire of his administration to addressing the persistent water supply problem being experienced in the state and to boost food production through the dry season farming activities is now being fulfilled as he commissions a 33 kV dedicated power line for Magami Waterworks, presentation of refuse trucks and other sanitation equipment, and distribution of new water pumps for dry season farming.
The purchase of 500 water pumps to support irrigation and dry season farming in the state, particularly the growing of continuous rice during the dry season period along the riverbed of River Benue, which we have virtually all across the state. And that has been used during this dry season, and it has been very effective and remarkable.
Commissioning of 2 reconstruction roads in the metropolis covering a distance of 3.74 kilometers, inspection of the state broadcast media houses still on digitization process, commissioning the electricity projects at the rural areas of the state is part of the Governor Ishaku's fulfillment of campaign promise.
I have also put a new state-of-the-art processing equipment, the best anywhere in the world. The CTC machines have been installed last 4 months ago to boost and speed up the production and quality of the whole Highland tea. I have also promised, Mr. President, that by the end of this year, 10% of all the tea you drink should come from Mambila Highland tea.
The administration is not leaving out industrialization in the state as the governor commissions a reactivated feed mill abandoned 3 decades ago, which he believes will develop human capital as it will provide jobs and boost the internally generated revenue of the state.
Youth and women cooperatives. I know that we have my Taraba State Microfinance. I'll advise the youth and women cooperatives that don't know about it to start moving close to that organization, the finance company. They may be faster in getting you your needs than the commercial banks.
Taraba State was created 25 years ago, and the need to fast-track the developmental rural infrastructure and industrialization to trigger the evolution road change of the state is what the people of the state yearns for. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News, Jalingo.
In other news, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says reports making the rounds of an alleged statement credited to him on solving the issues affecting the power sector in Nigeria is untrue. He says the ministry is doing all it can to move the power sector forward and urges Nigerians to support the efforts of the federal government in this regard. The minister spoke in a lengthy television interview in Abuja on issues affecting the power sector. Kozim Kasali has details in this report.
In recent times, a statement allegedly credited to the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, saying that any responsible government will solve the issues affecting the power sector within 6 months has gone viral on social media. The minister, who was then governor of Lagos State, describes as untrue the alleged statement. He charges Nigerians to always look closely at whatever is being bandied about, adding that he was talking about the Lekki IPP project and not Nigeria as a whole.
I never made such a statement. Anybody who has a video where I made issue, please publish it. The point I made was when I was handing over the Lekki IPP, because we had about 10 megawatts of power there, but the communities couldn't be connected because they were customers of the Eco Distribution Company, and it would be an infraction of the contract that they have to go and connect the houses.
On the issue of release of funds to contractors by the federal government, the minister disclosed it as an ongoing process that will soon be completed.
The contractors who get paid have agreed to go back. Some of them are going to get paid less than what
entitled to.
What they're entitled to. But the desire to get their plants and machinery back to work, the desire to return workers who have been laid off back to work, which was what I appealed to them to do, is where we'll start.
He is also expressing his surprise at the continuing vandalization of oil and gas installations in the Niger Delta, describing it as akin to destroying one's household. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. Still ahead, Biafran protest goes violent. Details of these and other reports after this break. Do stay with us.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government, is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure, like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Welcome back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, reaching you live from our Lagos studios. Let's take another look at our top stars. All our top stories, all the news and information can be found on our social media platforms. On Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News. On our Twitter handle, @CoreTV News NG. And on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV News. Now, tension is high in Anambra State as persons suspected to be members of the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra, Masab, mounted roadblocks and set bonfire in Nkpo and Onitsha, causing the roads to be deserted. Anambra State Commissioner of Police Hassan Karma says the suspected members of Masab gathered at a school in Nkpo with identifying flags emblazoned with the rising sun symbols and charms, but their mission was unknown. Also in Asaba, the Delta State capital, several people were injured as a planned protest by members of the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra degenerated into a fight. The fight reportedly broke out when police tried to disperse the protesters by firing tear gas at them. Now, Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano has condemned the indigenous people of Biafra's celebration and rally that turned violent and resulted in the deaths of several persons in Onitsha. In a public service announcement by the State Commissioner for Information and Communication Strategy, Tony Onachita, the government describes the rally as illegal. It says the law enforcement agencies are fully on top of the situation and are working to restore normalcy and free movement for all law-abiding citizens. The government advises the people of Anambra State to remain calm and vigilant and to go about their lawful businesses. Now, men of the counter-terrorism unit of the Rivers State Police Command disrupted the peaceful march by members of Ralph Wazurike-led movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra at Obigbo in Obigbo local government area of the state. Report says the Biafra agitators, numbering over 200, were on a peaceful march along the streets of the local government to mark their annual Biafra Day, when the men intercepted them and ordered them to stop. The police arrested 12 of the members and also took away their banners, members' identity cards, and aprons. The police in Owerri have arrested 17 members of the Movement for the Actualization of the Sovereign State of Biafra, MASOB, for holding a roadshow in commemoration of the 49th anniversary of Biafra. The police public relations officer, DSP Andrew Enwerem, who confirmed the arrest, says those arrested will be prosecuted. A leader of MASOB, Okechukwu Nwogu, says it is regrettable that the police would arrest members of the group who were on a peaceful march. Nwogu calls on Igbo leaders to come out and speak for Igbo people being unjustly treated by security forces. And earlier today, soldiers suspected to be operatives of the Joint Task Force have invaded the home of the father of wanted ex-militant leader, Government Ekpemokpolo alias Dampolo, and carted documents sources say are vital. The incident happened between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. at Kuruche, after which the soldiers stormed other communities in search of the ex-militant and youths alleged to be members of the Niger Delta Avengers. The soldiers sacked other Gbaramatu communities, including Benekrukru, Koko Diagbene, and Okerinkoko. A leader of Koko Diagbene community, Sheriff Molade, laments the situation, saying the soldiers' continuous visit are posing serious threats to the communities. He says the people are living in bondage. Dampolo's father's community, Kuruche, is also where the temporal site of the scrapped Federal Maritime University is located in Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State. In other reports, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, says it has commenced contempt proceedings against the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, for their alleged failure to publish the details of recovered loans and how the funds were spent. In a statement on Monday by its Executive Director, Adetokunbo Mumuni, SERAP says the federal government has ignored a judgment which ordered a release of the detailed information of the total amount of recovered stolen public assets and amount spent from it. It accuses Malami and Idris of taking the court for a ride, saying it has since last week commenced contempt proceedings against them by filing Form 48 at the Federal High Court. In the Form 48, SERAP threatened that unless Malami and Idris obey the orders of the court, they shall be deemed to have disobeyed the orders of the court and shall be liable to be committed to prison for contempt. Now, the Muslim community is calling on Nigerians to shun every form of corruption and fully support President Muhammadu Buhari as he marks 1 year in his fight against corruption. In a media parley in Lagos, members of the Nasrallah Fati Society, NASFAT, see the current situation as one that will end very soon. Against the backdrop of Ramadan, the society's president, Abayomi Bolariwa, recognizes that the period is an opportunity to point out that Muslim faithful worship the same God as that of the other faiths, and the essence of zakat should not be undermined.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and the month is believed to be the period the Holy Quran was revealed to the Holy Prophet. The 9th month of the lunar Islamic calendar and is commonly observed with fasting, prayers and recitation of the Holy Quran by Muslims. As Muslims world over prepare to consecrate themselves during the Ramadan period, corruption has been observed to be the order of the day, as some Nigerians use the period to sometimes increase the price of commodities. At the pre-Ramadan press conference in Lagos, President of the NASFAT Society advises Nigerians to shun every form of corruption.
If Allah considers someone who can pray for you, it's woe to the fraudsters.
As Muslims, we have zero tolerance for corruption in any form. You cheat people, no matter how much you make out of it. Even if you think you are seeing blessings, watch out. At the end of the day, it is not blessing for you.
In NASFAT's lineup of activities for the month of Ramadan, which includes Tajud, Dawah, Ramadan lectures, Lailatul Qadri, iftar, and most emphasized zakat. The act of giving has been identified as one of the most important in the season.
Peace be on him, recommends that only that one date, that's all you possess in this one. Give it to your brother. If he has one, let him give you. Just that exchange. There's no net value added. But just that intention that I want to give unto my brother as rewards of Allah to you.
With the economic recession taking its toll on Nigerians, what better time to observe Ramadan than now?
Stay away from the things that Allah has discouraged. You will find out that we will return back to the path of prosperity. So Ramadan is a period that allows for sober reflection and allows you to put back your focus on God as the means of achieving all that you need to achieve in life.
The holy month of Ramadan 1437 AH will start on Monday, June 6, 2016.
In Ekiti State, the governor, Ayodele Fayose, has dared the President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government to carry out the alleged plots of preventing him from traveling out of the country. In a press conference addressed by Special Assistant on Public Communications and New Media, Liri Olayinka, the governor pointed out that under the federal system of government, state governors are not appendages of the president, adding that as a leading opposition figure in Nigeria, he cannot be cowed by President Muhammadu Buhari and his agents. He disclosed this on the backdrop of reports that two governors, one from the southwest and another from the south-south, have been placed on travel restriction on President Buhari's order. Fayose says President Buhari and his agent should be mindful of the fact that under a federal system of government, the states and the national government both enjoy some autonomy, with sovereign power formally divided between the national government and the states. Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano has urged his Executive Council members to ensure that decision-making and effective execution become the hallmark of the administration. The governor made the call today at a two-day retreat held in Awka, the state's capital. He enjoined them to adopt the "we are in a hurry" attitude, in which every file that comes to any ministry will be treated without delay. The governor acknowledges the present efforts of the state government and assures citizens of better performance progressively. Governor Obiano further urges Anambra State residents and others in various parts of the country and in the diaspora to come home and join in developing the state, emphasizing his commitment to fulfilling all his campaign promises. In Ogun State, the government has demolished shanties and illegal structures at the Shagamu interchange along the Lagos-Ibadan corridor of the expressway. The Commissioner for Urban and Physical Planning, Adebola Adeife, says the exercise carried out by officials of the ministry is aimed at restructuring the area, which had been designed for industrial development. He discloses that the ministry had served the occupants of the illegal structures notice of eviction, but they refused to vacate the area. Adeife appeals to prospective land buyers to desist from buying lands along the major highways in the state without verifying from the ministry. In other reports, a civil society organization, Abuja Writers Forum, has condemned the poor reading culture among Nigerian youth. President of the organization, Eman Shehu, raised the issue at the forum's guest writers session in Abuja. Basil Okafor was there and brings this report.
These professional writers, once every month, gather here for what they say is a platform for interaction among readers, writers, publishers, and creative writers based in the Federal Capital Territory. The forum, according to the civil group, is organized to make positive impact on the intellectual abilities of writers, readers, and youths in the society. Apart from poor reading culture among the youth, the forum is also lamenting government's lack of interest in giving financial support to writers who want to use their works to bring positive change to the society.
Even the telecom companies, you go to them, they tell you, writers, we cannot sponsor anything because you just gather yourselves in one small room, 30, 40 of you. No, we need musicians who can fill up a stadium. So, but we will soldier on.
Many are wondering if modern-day writers in the country can fill the shoes left behind by the likes of Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka. They believe is still producing great writers who have distinguished themselves at the global arena. They are urging aspiring authors to remain focused in spite of the challenges that demoralize people who want to become professional writers.
A writer impacts society in several ways. The society in which you live throws up a lot of issues, okay? Even right now, issues are being thrown up. It's a writer's prerogative to write about those issues, enlighten society.
I think it's time for Nigerians to recreate Nigeria in the image of Nigerians and for the benefits of Nigerians. So essentially, that's what this book is about.
The group says it will not relent on its effort at educating, entertaining, and informing Nigerians through writing. Basil Okafo, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Children are the heritage of life. As a St. Luke Children Caregivers in Gwagwalada, Abuja is not left out in letting the children have a feel of their caregiving. As part of their social contributions to the less privileged in the area, they organize a get-together for children within the metropolis. With this year's theme, Stop Sexual Violence Against Children, following the different issues on child molestation and assault in the society. Anita Patrick has more.
It's no longer news that almost on a daily basis, children are assaulted. The effect oftentimes resulting in serious psychological damages, leaving the offenders to remain free, and the need to save the Nigerian child cannot be overemphasized. Medical experts say the effects and physical signs of sexually abused children is surmounting while attempting to prefer solutions on ways that children can be protected from being victims.
Sexual violence is a problem in our society. You know, statistics have shown that most of our young girls are molested. But you know, it's because sexual issues are things that parents are usually shy to talk about. But as we have seen, it has caused a lot of problem in the society.
The first point of contact for any child is a parent, and they are also expressing their minds on the need for government to enact the enabling laws that will provide for serious punishment for perpetrators of this act, and the need for parents to create time and listen to their children.
My reaction to the violence against children, you know, this our government, I hope and I pray they should pass a bill, you know, against violence against children. And I pray that they will sign, the senators and the House of Rep, they will sign the bill, because the violence against children is becoming something else in this country.
I think it's better prevented than witnessed, to be honest. If anything that can be done to ensure it never even happened at all. The experience is horrible. It's horrible. And most of the time, they are the people they know. People that even the parents can bet their life they can't do this. Unfortunately, that's the one you now see. Inflicting horrible injuries to a child that is so innocent.
Faith-based organizations are not left out. Some say children need to be guided in the ways of God in the affairs of life.
By knowing who Jesus is, will also help them to live the life. When you know the purpose, if you want to do something and you know what you want to do and how you want to do about it, you will be able to accomplish your task.
Coordinator of the Children's Care Program and Children agreed that the theme of this year's Children's Day celebration definitely aid in creating awareness for all of them as the way of curbing violence against children.
The voice that is shouting everywhere in Nigeria. Children being violated. If you look at our TV, go to the hospital, you see children being violated every day. We are trying to put hands together to educate these children to be aware of what it is so that they can prevent its occurrence.
We made them feel like they won't have shelter and they will be very homeless. So I thank the government and God for bringing this beautiful holiday called Children's Day.
This day is what they celebrate Christmas, where they celebrate Christmas, when they pray, when they buy for them ice cream, they will enjoy.
As the nation celebrates her children, expectations are that everyone will begin to get the feel of the evil of violence against this vulnerable group in the society. Anita Patrick, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Moving on, the Plateau State government has been challenged to partner laboratory scientists in the state for better healthcare provision. The call is coming from the state chairman, Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, George Bright, at a health meeting held in Jos, the Plateau State capital. Our Plateau State correspondent brings us details of the call by laboratory scientists for inclusion in healthcare decisions in the state.
Going by the various diseases and epidemics that are spreading in the country and Plateau State in general, the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria has enjoined the state government to work closely with laboratory scientists for early diagnosis of any impending outbreaks.
Our country is witnessing emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases such as hemorrhagic fever, Ebola, Lassa fever, and a host of others. This calls for a greater concern in the diagnosis of the etiologic agent and management of both communicable and non-communicable diseases.
Plateau State Commissioner for Health assures the association that the state has been in support of various arms of the health sector and will do more whenever the occasion demands.
And government is willing at all times to do the needful within its powers to see to the success of these events for the benefit of our populace. And government will stop at nothing in deploying resources at its disposal towards improving the healthcare sector.
Laboratory scientists at the event say they are ready to employ new innovations in the surveillance, control, and diagnosis of epidemics. Plateau State has been known to be prone to several disease epidemics that broke out in the country in the past.
Now talking tourism, the Kaduna State government says all is set to make the state a world-class tourist center with the popular Nok cultural sites and Kagoro Hills. The State Commissioner for Youth, Sport, Culture and Tourism, Daniel Dan Auta, stated this while addressing journalists in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria.
There are strong indications that Kaduna State is on its way to becoming a world-class tourist hub, as the state government says it has reached an advanced stage in partnership with foreign investors who have expressed interest in investing in notable tourist sites in the southern part of the state.
The Nok civilization, and it has been an identified, adopted heritage center in the World Academy. But now we want to take it out from the academic circle into economic and commercial circle.
The commissioner says Chinese investors are at Kagoro Hill to assess the terrain before getting to the next step of their investment in the tourism sector.
In fact, the Kagoro Hill was discovered and identified by the willing investor themselves. Chinese investors, all they want is Kaduna State give us a motorable road.
In the tourism sector, he says when the project is actualized, it will create jobs and increase internal revenue for the state.
Coming up in a report from outside Nigeria after this break, Egyptian court sentences leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, Muhammad Badie, and 35 others to life in prison. Join us after this break for details.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government, is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure, like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Glad to have you back. In Report from Beyond the Shores, a special court in Senegal has sentenced former Chadian military ruler Hissène Habré to life in prison after convicting him of crimes against humanity, torture and sexual slavery. The verdict on Monday caps a 16-year battle by victims and rights campaigners to bring the former leader to justice in Senegal, where he fled after being toppled in the 1990 coup in the Central African nation. Habré raised his arms to the air on hearing the verdict, shouting "Down France, Accra," referring to the term used for France's continuing influence on its former colonies. Human rights groups accuse the 72-year-old of being responsible for the deaths of 40,000 people during his rule from 1982 to 1990. Habré's case was heard by the Extraordinary African Chambers in Senegal's capital, Dakar, a special criminal court set up by the African Union within the West African nation's court system. And in Egypt, the court has sentenced the Muslim Brotherhood's leader, Mohammed Badi, and 35 other people to life in prison over violent clashes in 2013 after the army overthrew ex-president Mohamed Morsi. Mohammed Badi, the Brotherhood's supreme guide, has already been sentenced to death and prison terms in all the trials. The court also sentenced 48 defendants to jail terms ranging from 3 to 19 years and acquitted 20 others. The authorities have arrested thousands of Brotherhood leaders and members, including Morsi, since his ouster by the army in 2013. Recall that in July 2013, the country was rocked by violence for weeks after Morsi supporters set up protest camps and demonstrated against his overthrow. Well, let's now bring you some sports reports.
Our style, and that's what he delivered.
In sports at this time, Marcus Rashford has signed a new contract committing him to Manchester United until 2020. In the first major squad announcement since Jose Mourinho was appointed manager last week, Rashford and fellow academic graduate Cameron Borthwick-Jackson have both committed their futures to the club. Rashford, the 18-year-old breakthrough star, has scored 8 goals in 18 appearances for United since breaking onto the scene in February and is now in contention for a place in England's Euro 2016 squad. Rashford expresses delight at the opportunity to play for Man U, saying it is a dream come true. Now, top seeds Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams have been subjected to weight play for their fourth-round matches in Paris following heavy rains which forced Day 9 of the French Open to be cancelled. Monday's play was delayed before being called off at about 12:45 British summer time. Djokovic's match against Spanish 14th seed Robert Bautista Agut has been rescheduled for 10:00 on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Williams meets Ukraine's 18th seed Elena Svitolina before Andy Murray's last 16 tie against Richard Gasquet. All 3 matches are scheduled for court Philippe Catre, the main show court at Roland Garros, with British #1 Murray's meeting with Francis Gasquet not starting before 13:00. However, more rain is forecast in the French capital on Tuesday. It is the first time in 16 years the rain has caused a whole day's play to be abandoned at the tournament. Well, that's it on sports and on CoreTV Primetime News. Many thanks for watching. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. From all of us here, thank you for being a part of CoreTV Primetime News today. Do have yourselves a very pleasant night rest. I am Aposedi Omowi.